On this episode of Science with Shields, we're doing some snowflake science.
We are beautiful science, compliance, baby, you and me, a cosmic alliance, defiance.
Hey everyone, it is meteorologist Christy Shields, and on this episode of Science with Shields, we're going to use salt and make a snowflake, but we're also going to talk a little bit about the science behind a snowflake. So what you need for this experiment, you are going to need some salt, you will need some water, which I have here in this container, some glue, as well as some food coloring and a pipette. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make our snowflake. So let's talk about a snowflake here for a second. A snowflake is formed in the sky in a cloud if the temperature is below 32 degrees. And there's dust particles in the atmosphere. And what happens with a snowflake, it goes from water vapor, which you cannot see, straight to ice. So we get those ice crystals in the sky. And every snowflake is unique, but they all are symmetrical and they are six-sided. So there's different categories of snowflakes, and there's a lot of different types that you can see falling from the sky with your eye, and some that you need a microscope to see. But today we're going to draw a dendrite, which is the typical snowflake you see to celebrate the holidays. So that's what we're going to do. And you want a piece of paper that is kind of hard stock, or a paper that's heavier than just a piece of computer paper. So I have that here. And I'm going to use my glue, and I'm going to draw a six-sided snowflake. So we're going to start here. Again, snowflakes are symmetrical, and we need 6 sides. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have our 6-sided snowflake. Kind of looks a little bit like a spider at this point, and then we're going to draw some branches onto it. So I'm going to draw my branches. And remember, it is symmetrical. Now, what can make a snowflake kind of change a little bit as it falls from the sky? Well, that all has to do with the fact that you have wind and different temperatures in the sky, so it can impact your snowflake and change it. All right, so we've got our snowflake here with the glue on the paper. Once you have your snowflake with all the glue on it, again, 6-sided, we are going to add salt to the glue, and be kind of generous with this as you do this. So we're gonna add some salt, and I have a plate here to capture any of that extra salt. All right, and this is where our next science comes in on how salt is very absorbing. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So once we have our snowflake completely salted, it'll look like the crystals on a snowflake. We are going to, again, get some of that off, but check it out, our snowflake. How cool is that? So the next thing we want to do is wait a little bit until our snowflake dries, and then we are going to be adding some water to it to give it a little bit of color and explain some science behind salt. So we've got 2 experiments here. So the next thing you want to do is we're letting that dry is take your water and pick what other food coloring option you want. I'm going to do blue and add it to the water to make the water blue so that our snowflake comes out kind of crystal-like. Now we'll let that sit as well. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Now that our glue is dry, we're going to take the pipette and our water that we have mixed in with food coloring, and we're going to start putting it on the snowflake. And what's happening here is salt absorbs water because it's polar, and it also, salt likes to absorb not only the water vapor in the air, but also just plain water, the liquid form, as well as the gas form. So that means it's hygroscopic as well. So it's really neat. Again, you just put these slow pipette droplets of water onto our snowflake, and it follows the salt, and it won't really get on your paper if you do it quite slowly, and the salt absorbs that color and it leads to a really cool look at your snowflake, which is really awesome how this works. And I'll show you here my one side, and I'd love to see yours as well once you're done with it. We want to see how your snowflake turns out by doing this. And you can even change up the colors if you want and use different colors as well. Just make sure to try and get it on the salt, and it will absorb all of that water because, again, water is polar and salt is a very good absorber of water, leading to a really cool snowflake. And again, we made a dendrite snowflake. You can check out some more categories of snowflakes and see if you want to try those instead. And again, all snowflakes are six-sided. They're symmetrical, but wind and temperature can make them not as symmetrical. And it is going to be always six-sided, but each snowflake is unique by the way it's formed in the cloud and how it falls to the ground. So you can see here, we've got a really awesome snowflake. How cool is that? You can find more Science with Shields episodes if you head over to WTAJ+. Use the hashtag Science with Shields. We want to see your finished snowflakes as well. Thanks for watching.